The 2025 tight end class is one that seems to be pretty rich with talent. There's a player for everyone in this class, and many different archetypes and builds that make this a very intriguing class. One player who was a bit of a late bloomer that really came on late and has been generating some early pre-draft buzz is Georgia Tech tight end Jackson Hawes. Hawes wasn't really on my radar until his Senior Bowl invite, and he's an awesome player that I can't wait to talk about. How high could he ultimately hear his name called in the 2025 NFL Draft? That is what we will be discussing in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page, where for $5 a month, you guys will be given exclusive access to my in-depth draft guide and big board with over 500 prospects and counting. It is some of the best work that I have ever put together, and if you enjoy my NFL draft content already, I highly recommend checking it out. Leave a comment on the video and let me know which prospects you guys would like to see in a future episode, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at Jackson Hawes. If you look at box scores, you're probably going to think Jackson Hawes sucks as a player. He started his collegiate career at Yale before transferring to Georgia Tech in 2024. Throughout his entire collegiate career, not just this past 2 seasons, Hawes has 51 receptions for 568 yards and 6 touchdowns. A lot of other tight ends in this class have better numbers just this year on paper, but Hawes does so many other things that don't show up on the box score that make him unique and make him a really special kind of player. I really like what Hawes has to bring on the table in terms of his size. He's 6'5", 260 pounds, and he's got a really big frame for the tight end position. He's wide, he's got really great length for the position as well, and I think he's got the ideal frame to be an inline tight end at the next level. Hawes is a pretty versatile piece, and he played a little bit of everywhere for the Georgia Tech offense in 2024. The Yellowjackets used him in a lot of different ways. He played 30.7% of his snaps in the slot, he played 62.9% of his snaps in line, and he was even used in wing formation at times as well as an extra guy in the backfield. With his size and movement abilities, he has some unique offensive versatility, and I think teams can kind of move him around anywhere. The part that makes Hawes such a fun prospect is his absolutely unbelievable blocking ability. I genuinely think he is the best blocking tight end I have seen coming out of the draft in the last 3 years I've done this, and that includes Tip Ryman from last year. He is incredibly powerful, and he's just a people mover in space. He has such great technique. He explodes off the line, he displays excellent hand placement, and he does a really good job at getting his hands to the outside shoulders of defenders. He's got a strong base, displays good anchor, and can just overpower guys. He does this as both a pass blocker and run blocker. He was used as a blocker on 24.2% of his passing snaps and was basically an extra tackle out there for Georgia Tech. He did an excellent job of helping open up run lanes and keeping Haynes King protected. He is a dynamic blocker who can block in space, he can block in line, and he's going to be a major contributor in the run game at the next level. As an athlete, it's a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to Jackson Hawes. I thought his first step off the line of scrimmage was pretty impressive. He had a quick initial burst, he got into his stance pretty quickly, and he kind of exploded off the line of scrimmage. But other than that, it wasn't anything that really intrigued me. He's not a very twitchy, nor is he a very quick route runner. He doesn't do an awesome job of getting open in the middle of the field, and he doesn't exactly have great long speed either. He shows promise as an athlete, but he's still very raw. As a receiver, we mentioned the lack of great route running, but it's also the lack of production and his hands. He was targeted just 20 times in 2024 and had an 11.1% drop rate. That's not good. He has to improve his hands. He has to do a better job at finding the soft spots in zone, playing smart. Once again, the burst and quickness show promise. He shows some really nice upside, but he has to improve as a receiver because you have to be able to catch passes at the tight end position in the year 2025. Jackson Hawes is one of the best blocking tight ends you'll ever see, while simultaneously being one of the more disappointing receiving tight ends in this class. In his defense, Georgia Tech really didn't pass the ball all that much this year, and it seemed like they were force-feeding the ball to Eric Singleton at times. And while I like what Hawes has shown, and I think he shows promise, he's still got a long ways to go before he's going to be a legitimate receiving threat. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how he tests out at the combine, because right now I do have questions about his athletic ability. But with that being said, his blocking is so good that it's hard not to have him high on your board. He's my number 7 tight end in this class and a big my guy, my number 146 overall player. To nobody's surprise, Hawes will work best as an inline blocking tight end. Maybe you can leak him out at times on short dump-offs, maybe run Y leak, bring him across the line of scrimmage, play him in the red zone and as a big threat because he's got great size. But it would be a disservice if you didn't use him as a blocker because he is so good in that area of the field. I think that's where he's going to be best utilized. We mentioned his name earlier in the video, but my player comparison for Jackson Hawes is Arizona Cardinals tight end Tip Ryman. Ryman was a 3rd-round pick in the 2024 draft class, and we had the same questions about him. The lack of receiving production, can he be an elite athlete? And yes, Ryman was a better athlete than Hawes. Both of them were very unproductive as a receiving tight end, but brought so much potential to the table as a blocker, and they wanted to do the physical parts of the position. You can't really teach that, and I think Hawes is going to be viewed as a very similar type of prospect at the next level. Jackson Hawes is an otherworldly blocker. He has elite technique, elite upside, but is still very raw as a receiver. I think he's worth the gamble because of the potential that he's shown, and ultimately, I believe that Jackson Hawes will be an early day 3 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.